Anime and falling off. It is something that happens way too much. You'll be watching a great show you love 1 second and then boom, it sucks and falls off quicker than me into the pavement while learning to ride a bike. And that is the fate I'm really hoping doesn't await Zom 100. Because honestly, it seems more likely to fall into that trap to me than other anime. There will be some minor spoilers ahead. Zom 100 is an anime that is being made by a new studio called Bug Films. And this is the first full production they've done. According to their Twitter, they assisted with summertime rendering, as well as Komi-san is a communist. That's a twist I wasn't expecting. But this is the first aspect that gives me pause and affects pretty much everything else I'm going to talk about in the video. A brand new studio with minimal information leads to a lot of unknowns. I was trying to find really anything I can about Bug's films, but wasn't really able to find much. If anyone does know anything more about the studio or the animators, please let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely interested to get more information on them. I know that might be a little cynical, but I'm a man who has been hurt before. We have seen a lot of anime start strong and just fall off a cliff. There are plenty of other examples, even in anime, that are universally praised, that are also known for a decrease in quality, such as Death Note or Evangelion, for example. Bug Films has done the first part. They've made a show that starts strong, but now they'll have to keep it afloat. Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead has started, honestly, fantastically. I went in with no expectations and it has blown me away in just about every category. It follows a young guy named Akira. He has a brand new office job in advertising, so full of hope and dreams. Yeah, that doesn't last long. Turns out the company he's working for has a culture of overworking for unpaid overtime and verbal abuse by his boss. He is employed by what is known in Japan as a black company, and the only thing keeping him sane is his beautiful coworker he has a crush on. But then the world ends and he celebrates, which that might be the most relatable thing in the whole show. There's nothing better than quitting a shit job. All the stress involved just falls away. The air feels fresh and cool in your lungs. I mean, in this scenario, he still might get eaten because there's zombies everywhere, but hey, still a net positive. The first episode was this quick-paced, emotional roller coaster. I know this might sound crazy, but I was so damn invested in Akira's story in the beginning, showing him happily lying to himself to cope with the situation he's stuck in to maintain a good attitude and just get through the day. The somber moments, where the reality of his situation is unavoidable, and the showing of Akira as a broken man. Now, a lot happened in like that 10 to 15 minutes, and then there's this huge reset. The zombie outbreak starts, the world goes to shit, and he's free. And then we're basically at the start of the real story. The side characters, the world, hell, even the main character is a changed man at this point. This might be the most isekai feeling first episode for a non-isekai I've ever seen. I mean, I kept waiting for someone to get isekai'd and just never happened. Well, except maybe this guy. I was originally worried if it could still be pulled off as well with everything being different. If they can keep pulling us in emotional, impactful directions, or if it would level off quickly and have less of these moments. We're honestly in it for the long haul, hopefully, and it's bound to happen where it levels out. We currently have 12 episodes for this season, and the manga's ongoing, but they handled the transition well, and while I was kind of worried about that, I do like where it's going currently in the whole zombie world thing. But I also liked where Rising of the Shield Hero was going early on, and that didn't turn out so great, now did it? And I really don't want this anime to fall off, because if nothing else, I just enjoyed looking at it. I think all the visuals are great. I watched the first episode after taking a little 10 milligram edible, and boy, I was feeling that one. I loved the way they used the different colors for the blood. Much better than, say, I don't know, white. And I really liked some of the more cinematic shots they used. Even throughout the other episodes I keep seeing, and I really enjoy those ones. I think it adds a nice flavor to the show. After watching a bunch of generic isekai or fantasy shows, it's just refreshing. Those things I'm not worried about changing. It's the animation I'm a little more worried about. All the zombie and action scenes early have been great, but it is still early. It's not uncommon for animation to go harder in the beginning, so it likely will come down to earth in the next few episodes. So we'll have to see where it is when we get there. I just hope we don't get some kind of situation where the Sakuga runs a little dry, or God forbid. Now, I know seeing good animation and saying it could be bad later is a pretty wild conclusion to jump to just from nothing, but it's another unknown brought on by it being a new studio that hasn't produced a full anime yet. However, you could also make the point that with this being their first full production, they will put everything into it since it's just an incredibly important time for the future of the studio. A fine point, and I respect it. So now we will get into my final point. Anytime you see a zombie show, movie, game, whatever, there's always a question. Will it be good, or will it just be another zombie enter whatever medium? Because Zom 100 has the potential to definitely be more than that. But name me a zombie-related anything that didn't fall off at some point if it continued past the initial run. If you got one, let me know. I can think of one, maybe two, but I want to hear what you guys think. Resident Evil fell off. The only thing I remember from the 6th game was the logo looked like a giraffe getting blown. The remakes have been awesome though. I'm not counting the remakes when I say that. The Walking Dead, well, fell off might be an understatement. That was a straight up free fall. The Last of Us, as much as it pains me to say, since the first one is one of my favorite games of all time, it fell off in the 2nd game. Tokyo Ghoul, if you consider it to be a zombie anime, I think of it as more zombie adjacent, but every list I saw counted as a zombie thing, so screw you guys, I'm counting it too and putting it in here. All of these zombie pieces of media were massively popular, and some still are, but it's pretty universally accepted that at some point, these franchises all had a pretty significant drop in quality. Whenever I think about these franchises at their peak, I always think of their characters. Whether they're endearing, their relationships are interesting, they're complex, I always think about them. And I think Zom 100 has that potential. It's lighthearted, but even so early, we've gotten serious hard-hitting moments, and hopefully that's here to stay. There's a lot of potential for interesting relationships between Akira and, say, sorry. In all seriousness, they're setting up a lot that I think is interesting and can really pay off, and can definitely keep it from falling into that just another zombie thing category. But that's also where the difficulty is. We have to be invested in these characters and their relationships, and have to be given a reason to remain invested. The longer the story goes on in the manga, and the longer it has to keep being adapted, the harder that will be, and then the easier it will be for Zom 100 to fall off, especially with the bar set as it is. Overall, I would love for Zom 100 to thrive. I think it has amazing potential, and I want it to work. I hope that in a few months, next season or whatever, that I am so wrong I'll have to make a video about how wrong I am so everyone can laugh at me. But as it is right now, I think they have a little bit more of an uphill battle than we might think. Well, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, be sure to let me know, and I will see you next time.